Okay, back again. I decided in my early morning that I was going to attempt to sort out this seat area, and here's one of the pieces here. So that was this section, sorry, this one here, and then this part here was all gone on the other side. So I made up myself a paper template and just went through the process of making a template and running the sheet metal through the various processes that you go through, and that's what I ended up with. I didn't go for an exact fit here. I just figured that this steel is so compromised that it was pointless me trying to butt them up to each other and then weld along that seam. So this is an overlapping weld, so this one is actually underneath here, so there's a bit of a lip. It's not that big and it's not really a concern for me, but the main thing that I worried about was just the continuation of these beads. It's a bit hard to see in this light. Maybe if I turn this way you can see what's going on there. So that little foot there is up here. I'm actually going to weld a washer into there to strengthen this again, just to, you know, give it a bit more integrity. But all of the beads match to a point. They're fairly close. They're within about 2 millimeters. You're not going to really see this, and this is actually going to stay rough like this anyway. I'm going to just get some different coloured paints and throw them over that and try and blend it into this, and then hit it with a grinder and sort of rough it up, and then throw some clear over the whole lot when I'm done. But as far as the overall shape goes, it's pretty close. It's not too bad. A few hours work in that, and I mean, it's not professional by no means. It's pretty rough, but it's fit for purpose, considering the rest of it's fairly rough anyway. So I had a couple of blowouts up here and down here, and I think there was one over here as well, so another one down there. So I just filled them in and hammered them flat. I'll just give that a light go over with the grinder and I'll call that quits. I've got a bit of a big hole here. I'll probably just get a piece of metal and go in from the back and cover that and weld into it. Same as there. I'll be able to fill these smaller ones here, you can see. I'll clean that right off and then just peck at it with the stinger and fill them up. But this one here, I'll probably just, as I said, get a, you know, just a little offcut of sheet metal, something like that. Just cut it roughly sort of that big, and then clamp it on there and then just weld into it, and then bring the weld out to the rusty metal. Yeah, it's just a lot quicker this way. I could spend days doing this, and I sort of want to move on. So I've still got, you know, a couple of pieces up here to finish off, and there's more welding in there, and along here as well. And then I'm going to get started on this section here, square all that away, and then start building forward. I can't really build this gear shift bracketry until I've got the base plate here made, and I can't make that till I've got this, because this needs to be cut, and I didn't want to compromise this by cutting it and then having no strengths up here. So that's where I'm at. Looks alright for someone who doesn't do this for a living. It's not bad. As I said, these are high, and they're meant to be high because otherwise it's got no strength. I mean, I could have spent days on it and making it perfect, and then it just puts me days behind. So sometimes I just got to move forward, and that's good enough for me. The profile of the beads is all that really matters for me. They all match, they all come into each other. A lot of hammer work there. That's, as I said earlier in another one of my earlier videos, I had a bead die or bead roller actually made up for me. I took some measurements of that floor pan, and that exact same measurement is roughly the same as this beading here. So it's worked a double whammy for me. I'm going to be able to get most of my beads in the body work as well with that one bead that I've had made up. That cost me $100. I supplied the actual beads that they were going to trim down on the lathe, so they didn't have to supply any steel at all, and just gave them my measurements, and came back a couple of hours later and it was done. There's a bit of a high spot there I've got to knock back. Just got to bang that back down flat, but I'll probably wait to do that once it's flat, because I can sort of gauge it better with my eye. You can probably see it's out by about 3 mils, maybe. Yeah, so definitely I'll weld a washer in there. I'll just drill this hole out and then weld a washer, and then I'll leave it. I won't drill the real hole corresponding to that one until I actually get a seat for this, because I have no exact measurement anywhere. I mean, I've got from center to hole there, I suppose, but I think I'll just leave it. I mean, I'll probably be getting a seat off of you know, the internet somewhere. It'll be old and crusty. I did have an idea, just as a bit of a fun thing to do, would get an old mattress, old sprung mattress, pull it apart and use the internals to make a seat. So you'd have the framework and all of the spring. I wouldn't use any of the padding, obviously, that'd all go in the bin, but the framework and the steel I might make a seat out of. So stay tuned for that one. I think that'll be an interesting little video. I like doing that sort of stuff, you know. I don't want to spend $1,000 on a seat. That's how much they are now. $1,000 for one seat, and it's old and buggered. You sit on it day in, day out for 6 months, and it'll start to just fall apart. So $1,000 is not well spent there. I don't think that's good money spent. If I had a seat, I'd try and sell it for $1,000, don't get me wrong, because if you can make money, why not? But for me, I would not spend $1,000 on a seat. I mean, I can upholster stuff now, so it's just a matter of getting a framework, and a framework is just steel. I've been collecting these bed heads that people have been leaving out on the side of the road the last few weeks, with a project in mind for them. They're perfect for, actually I'll go around this side, all of the tubing that goes underneath the vehicle. There's one there. It's just a hollow, I'm guessing it's a steel tube. It's rusted, so it wouldn't be copper. It's pitted, so yeah, it's red, so it's steel. And what I plan on doing is matching this. So this is the main, I think this is for the clutch cable, this one. So if you look at that and that, they're basically the same they're basically the same OD. So if you look at that length there, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, plus a bent piece. That's probably 2.5 meters there. And then you've got another one up here, which is roughly exactly the same size, and another one down there. So I've got plenty of tubing, and I'm going to rebuild all of the cabling underneath the vehicle with this stuff. Why? Because why not? It's something fun to do. As I said, I like to just do things that are slightly different. I could easily go out and buy the steel, there was no fun in that. So, and the thicker ones, the thinner pipes, I've got some here, and then you've got your gear linkage for your shift coupler. I've got this one, and I've got these other longer ones. And I thought maybe I could use this for the heater channel underneath the vehicle. But as I said in an earlier video, I'm probably not going to put that in, but it's there if I want to. Yeah, I was thinking about making a bumper bar with this, just for something funky. It's got some nice bends and then straight parts and then other bends, so I've got 4 radius and 2 long straight parts, so I definitely could make a set of bumper bars for this vehicle. They're $600 to $900 each now for rusty old ones. So just in this, and I wouldn't even know how much these pipes are worth, this steel, to buy for the vehicle. I'm probably guessing at $100 a piece. So there's probably 400 plus 2 bumper bars, say at lower end, $600 each, so that's $1,600, plus the shift tube. There's probably another $100, $1,700, plus yeah, just other superfluous bits and pieces. Probably $2,000 worth of components sitting there, you know. And then if I decide to make the seat, I've also got these old stainless steel trays I might be able to utilise. They were for something for work, but they decided to go another way, so they're just sitting in my garage now, and I really don't know what to do with them. So they could work as a nice strong base for a seat. They're very strong. This is solid stainless steel, and then you've got the mesh underneath, which is absolutely perfect. You know, something like that. 1, 2, you'd probably do 2 on the bottom, and then 1 for the seat back. So that's 4. Then if I got myself a mattress, a nice quality old, like, I'm just talking about a junky one that someone leaves on the side of the road. I just put a dust mask on one day and some gloves and sit outside and tear it apart with a knife and put all of the stuffing in the bin, but be left with the framework. I mean, if you think about these old coachworks and how they made this stuff, it's all the same trade. You make a seat, you make a mattress, it's the same thing. So for me, I think that'd be a cool little side project, especially to save $1,000. So that'd be just under $3,000 if I was to buy that stuff alone. This all gets back to people saying, oh, these combies are so expensive. Yeah, because you've got to spend thousands of dollars to buy the bits. I mean, all said and done, when this is together, I mean, if I can save $3,000 alone on the seat and the coupling, these pipes, and just different other things, that's $3,000 I don't have to put on the end price. if I decide to sell one day or whatever. But yeah, something to think about anyway. But you've probably seen them in the video wondering what the hell they're doing in here, but that was my plan. I saw one and bed frame and I went, you know what, I'll probably be able to use those pipes, the tubes. So I grabbed those two, and then I saw these and I thought, yeah, I'll grab them as well. And I mean, they're just sitting against the wall doing nothing at the moment, but it won't be long until I turn my head for them and I'll grab them and start hacking them up. And probably what I'll do is just take all of these lengths that are the same, cut them all, and then weld them all together, make big long lengths, and then just put them down on the ground. So those ones up there, these ones here, the ones at the back, and then I've got like 4 lengths sitting there ready to go. Yep, anyway, I'll just continue on, I suppose. I'll probably tackle, you can see in under there too. There's a lot of rust in there. There's some welding wire too. My MIG welder's having a rough time using 0.9mm MIG welding wire. It's not designed for that, it's only designed for 0.8mm. So I think it's just having a difficult time reading what's happening with the resistance. And when I go to use the minimum setting, and I normally turn the wire speed right up when I'm hitting sheet metal, rusty sheet metal, and I use like I think it's 0.7 or 0.8 flux core, and I can just hit it real quick and real light and just continue, and it doesn't get too hot. But this stuff's so thick and hard that it's punching its way through, even though I've set the spring on the feeder loose. It's having a bit of difficulty, so it's probably just a matter of, you know, flicking around the dials a bit. But yeah, anyway, getting there, onwards and upwards. But I'm happy with that today. It's a bit on the rough side, but I think once it's got a little bit of paint on it to disguise what's happened, and this is what, you know, the main goal is, to keep this sort of patina look to it. And I'll hit it with a bit of paint now. I might just play around with a bit of paint this afternoon. I've got some blue, I've got some white, I've got some black. I don't have any of this brown. It's like the lead-based primer that they used. It would be good to use that as a base and then come over with some other stuff and then rub it off with some alcohol or paint thinners and then try and get that look. Yeah, I might play around with that now. I've had enough of cutting shit up this afternoon. Anyway, I'll bring you back